1340 96.5 KVGC. On the phone with us, Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Tonight, he and David Cohen co-host a show called Everything Old is New Again. Douglas, good morning.
Good morning. Good royal morning to you. Are you enjoying these festivities? Am I the only one that's not interested in this royal wedding?
What royal wedding?
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, because it's a fascination that I don't understand. Didn't we fight to get away from all this nonsense all those years ago for the Revolutionary War? I don't know.
You know, I mean, I don't want to sound unpatriotic, but I wasn't really even into, the marriage of, Diana either,
I agree. I agree 100%. It doesn't make any sense to me. The whole thing is antiquated. It's revering, I don't know, something of a past age. I mean, really, do we really want dictators? It's what kings were. Is that really and queens? Is that really what we're admiring? I know we're beyond that. It's a social thing. It's the British version of the Kardashians, but is that to be admired either? I don't know. I just don't go for it. I don't know. It's just me. I'd rather talk about and try to figure out, rather than the future of who's the future king going to be or queen, I'd prefer to talk about the future of television. How about you?
Well, all I can say is, speaking of television, if you have a chance, there's a series called The Crown, okay? And it's 2 seasons in. In fact, next season, they're going to change the entire cast. Matt Smith is actually, what's the Queen's husband's name? Philip?
Right.
Okay. He plays Philip for the last 2 seasons. An actress plays the Queen very well, but they're going to change them because they're getting older now. And so they'll pick up about after the Kennedy assassination. I think it's 63, 64 is where they're going to pick up. And it's, if you watch it, I mean, who knows if it's real or if it's not. But if you watch that, you have kind of, I feel sorry for them, to be very honest with you, Douglas. They're like prisoners.
Yeah, it's like
they're prisoners.
It's like a Twilight. I don't know if you remember this going back. Twilight Zone episode where a guy and a gal wake up and it's from a party the night before, and they're in the streets, and they're going to homes, and there's sort of a facade, and there's no real food, and it's not a real car with an engine. Blah blah. Long story short, it's a zoo, and from aliens who abducted them, and now they're in a zoo as zoo, animals, and it's just about like that. I mean, they're observed on everything that they do, and what do they do? They have no freedom to do and live a normal life. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you begin to feel sorry for them, and you realize too that they're not very attractive people down deep inside.
Right.
This whole Prince Charles and Camilla, I never have agreed with that, and not that I'm a prude, but that if you didn't really love this woman, why did you marry her? And you'll find out some of that if you watch The Crown. It's really well done. It's not that far, of course, yet. I mean, Prince Charles is just a young boy right now in it. But as we, again, I'm kind of talking the show up because it was done real well. I enjoyed it. It's 2 seasons. I watched all 2 seasons over about a 2-week period with my wife, and I wasn't going to watch it at first. What's this? And then I got into it. It's it's exciting. It's interesting. But again,
try to make a list of shows that you love and have to watch, if you will. And it's interesting because it's not as big a list as you think. So if you get a good recommendation, it's something that's worthy.
I'm going to take my hat off to Gotham. Okay, to the creators of Gotham. Okay, this coming season will be the final season.
Right.
And I think they realize they can only take that story arc to a certain point before it gets, because it's starting to get a little crazy. I don't know if you watched this week's episode or not, but it's like, okay, here. But I tip my hat to them. So
they've shown the genesis of a lot of the villains from the comic book, and I think the coming attraction, they just had the season finale a couple nights ago, so if you look at the coming attraction, there's a glimpse of the Batman. They've already referred to the Dark Knight, and Bruce Wayne is staying in Gotham when all this chaos is now happening. So it looks like it's going to be the season of the Dark Knight. It's his first year, let's say, as Batman, putting a lot of these characters in their place. So, yeah, I think it's a good show. I think we've always talked about it as being a good show. It does have its limitations. It's almost like Smallville in a way, when the beginning of Superman. So, but it's much darker. But it's I don't think for TV that's not cable, they show a lot. They do a lot of things that that make it very interesting, and it's a lot of fun to get into. It's a shame that it's going somewhere. I hope we replace it with something. I mean, Game of Thrones, I know, is in its last season. What's another show? Kevin Can Wait is gone, which kind of expected.
And Lucifer was canceled.
Lucifer's canceled. Scorpion, which I liked, was canceled. Exorcist, which I liked, was canceled. So some of these shows took chances and were a little bit different to try to compete with what's going on with all these different multimedia abilities and stations. So I don't know. It's
I'm looking forward to another episode or another season of The Orville.
The Orville's back, which is great to see. Let's see. Well, Walking Dead, I don't know if that's ever going to die. That's going pretty strong. Westworld, did you ever see that one? That was interesting.
No, my son JD watches that. He likes that.
Yeah, that's coming on for a second season now, and then they've renewed it for a third. The Flash, which I love, I think that's going to be good. Goldbergs. How about Hawaii Five-0? That's renewed, too. It's for the 9th season. I've only seen, one episode. It's one of those series that I guess I never gave it a chance, but it's on for 9 years. Something's happening there. They're doing something.
Well,
right.
you and I had mentioned this. I had mentioned it to you in one of our previous shows that there's a television show on that every once in a while I'll see it in reruns, like on Icon TV or one of these weird ones. It's with now his name's escaping me. Magnum PI. Okay, and he's a police commissioner or something.
Blue Blood.
Yeah, that's still on.
Yeah.
I've never seen that show. I've never clicked across it as I'm going around the dial. When the hell is it on?
And I've never seen a CSI. So, I mean, there's these shows that just go on, and I guess there's obviously they're doing something right. And it may be one of those shows that you click on in 2 or 3 years when it goes off the air or something, and it's on like a MeTV, and you binge, and all of a sudden you go, hey, you know what? It's pretty good. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. Cops and Robbers, I'm not a big fan of anymore. There's only so many of those shows you can watch.
Well, I think it just goes to show again, like we've talked on this show before many times, when we were kids, there were only 3 choices unless you had one of the affiliates, local affiliates. So you watched ABC, NBC, and CBS, and we knew, if we knew the lineups of every network, 7 days a week. So
yeah, sometimes that's a little bit more of an advantage. There's too much to watch at this point. One that I thought was interesting, I mentioned it last time, was Cobra Kai was renewed. And there's another one, drum roll, from Hawaii, produced in Hawaii. Remember this show, Magnum PI?
Yeah.
Brand new one coming out in 2019.
Wow.
Now that sounds like it cannot be done right. The chemistry was so good in that show, and it was so timely. But
why can't I think of that guy's name? Why can't I think of the actor's name?
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Tom Selleck. That's it.
You always think of the mustache first,
right? Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Now, I would suggest if you take a look at the trailer of that one, they took it a little more seriously. Higgins is a young female, which kind of doesn't make sense because she's supposed to be more regal and whatever character. It doesn't make sense. There's supposed to be some friction there. There isn't. But it's the first episode is directed by the director of Fast and Furious. And I think they went for the action side of it. There's still a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, it looks like. It might be worth a shot if you like the original, but it's hard to get over the originals to get into these reboots with brand new people. But if you put that aside and give it a shot, that one might be worth a shot. I don't know. Did you go for that show in the beginning? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
There you go.
But I'm not going to watch it.
Are you going to miss Lucifer? Is that the
Yeah,
big one?
yeah. I'll miss Lucifer. I like the show. I think it's a. Have you ever seen the Lucifer comic books? He's a
No.
It's based on a DC comic, Lucifer.
Okay.
But I mean, how far can you take the devil? Making the devil nice. That's another thing that there had to be an end to that show. And
Right.
And unfortunately, I think they're better within the next season or so. I think the Goldbergs should come to an end as well.
It seems that way. They tried it once, but I've been looking up. They've got it on their kind of horizon, this second take of the Goldbergs in the 90s with just being at the school with the remaining characters, the guidance counselor and the
I read that's on the fall lineup.
It is. See, because they did the first, it was horrible. I hate to say it. The first pilot of that when they released that, so I don't know what they're going to do to make it better.
No. Hey, what's up with this week's show?
Oh, this week it's interesting. We have a gentleman who wrote a book about this local television show, sort of like a local Mr. Rogers. And I think the theme is that in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a local kids show, like a Bozo or Wonderama, but local hosts that would host a show for kids after school, come home, watch cartoons, and in between you'd have these characters, these hosts. And in Iowa, there was a show called The Floppy Show with this guy, Dwayne Ellett, from the 50s to the 80s. For 30 years, he was on television, local television in Iowa. And I don't know if you know, Tom Hanks signed to do a Mr. Rogers movie, so that's coming out soon. So in sum, he has a book about that kind of experience, about the Floppy Show. Jeff Stein, who is with KXEL, he's the program director there, and is a historian of these kind of local television and local events that go on in Iowa. We're going to have him on and expand that into a discussion of kids' shows that are hosted by local hosts. And I don't think they exist too much anymore. Did you have any of those when you were growing up?
Yeah, we had in on Sacramento TV, we had Captain Sacto.
There you go.
And then we had there was another. He was on Channel 3, and he would come flying in. The opening of the show would have a jet landing. And then he would get out, and he'd be like in a flight suit. Then he would host the show in a flight suit. Then we had Captain Delta. He was on the ABC affiliate, I believe, and he was the afternoon guy, and he was a riverboat captain, a captain of a boat on the Delta, because the San Joaquin Delta.
And what, they would introduce, they do little skits and have kids in studio, maybe.
They'd have kids, and they would introduce the cartoons,
But it's amazing that you remember them, and that it's such a part. I mean, you're remembering names of things that we want to go back, but that's 50 years back.
Yeah, and then on in San Francisco there was Mayor Art, who was actually, I believe, the program director or sales manager of was it KRON Channel 4 in San Francisco, and then there was somebody else, Chuck something, on Channel 2, and the reason I know that because they did the Three Stooges, so I would watch him. And he had a little
Chuck McCann, was it?
No, he had a little puppet called King Fuddle, and all the different, But again, this is like back in the 60s.
Yes.
And some of these go back into the 50s. I'll tell you one thing, Douglas, and then I'm sorry, we're running out of time here, but I was going across Netflix the other day and I ran across a reboot of the Howdy Doody show. Do you remember this?
No.
It's from
I remember the Howdy Doody, but I don't remember.
It's from the 80s. It's from the 80s, and it's from Florida, and I don't know what studio in Florida it's from, but it was horrible. I mean, honestly, try to find it this weekend. Howdy Doody, and
they're so unique. If you were to watch any of these shows now, as an adult, I don't think they'd have too much attraction to you. But as a kid, they're in our hearts forever, and that's what we'll talk about this week.
Well, I'll tell you what. You sit anybody down in front of a TV with the Three Stooges, and they have to enjoy it.
That's right.
Huh? You have to enjoy
What
it.
about the guy in between introducing the Three Stooges? That's the question.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Douglas Viviani and David Cohen tonight and tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The show is called Everything Old is New Again. Each week they examine our pop culture, where it came from, why it's still popular. And these two guys definitely make radio fun again. Give them a listen tonight at 6 o'clock. Douglas, have a great show tonight.
Thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
All right.